But we're going to do some swaps.
Doing some swaps today.
So we've got a lot of things. As we were talking about doing this, we have a lot of healthy like food swaps, but there's also things that not only that you put in your body, but on your body. So we'll keep that in mind too, right? So we can talk a little bit about that, but we're going to go through this quick.
Ready?
I'm ready. You want to start?
Okay. One of my wands is if you are a milk drinker or not a milk drinker, if you need an alternative to milk and maybe use almond milk. One solution is the organic almond milk, and why we choose this one, it is just because it's almonds, water, and salt. If you look in the ingredients, there's often gums in these, and you can also tell if it's a better one by it has a little more protein. Normally, almond milk is mostly water and less nuts. And so the protein content is not high. This isn't really very high either. It's only 2 grams of protein in your 8 fluid ounces. But maybe a better alternative, if it's something that you are able to do, is soy milk. And soy milk, we choose organic because of the pesticides and fertilizers used on soy products. And this is just the soybeans and water. And 8 ounces has 12 grams of fiber. I had a lovely...
12 grams of protein.
Sorry,
protein.
Okay. Protein. And I had a lovely chai latte with that this morning. So that's my swap.
Awesome. I have, let's see, I'm going to go with peanut butter and jelly. Okay, so you got your Jif and your normally, what is it, Welch's? Jif and Welch's are our kind of go-tos. And peanut butter, as far as that goes, has a lot of partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated and palm oils and all of those things in it. So if you look at the peanut butter, whichever you normally choose, take a look at the ingredients list. And we really want it to be peanuts, right? Pretty much just peanuts. Kirkland at Costco has an awesome brand here. It's an organic brand, and they are dry roasted peanuts and sea salt is the only thing that's in here. This, I would say, is the most affordable option that I found in the organic brand, and the natural peanut butter that's not full of hydrogenated such things. So this is a really easy swap because it's creamy. Some people might feel that there's oil that rests on this. One of the cool things that we learned is if you store it upside down, that all kind of helps that oil not, it kind of moves it through. So kind of move it side to store it. And then if it's on the top or something, you can always adjust it. So you don't always have to store your peanut butter this way. This one also says to refrigerate after opening.
So when you refrigerate, that kind of helps with a little bit of this solidity.
Yeah, or you can just take a butter knife and do that. So that is a really good option, a really easy swap to save on some preservatives and some yuck in your peanut butter, if again you're a peanut butter. And then a jelly option. So jelly is normally super high in sugar, like super high. And if you look at the serving size, it's like 1 tablespoon, right? And if you think of a tablespoon, that is like a small spoon that you eat. How many people just put the knife in there and put a lot on it? So there's a lot of sugar in jelly. So I found this one at Woodman's. I'm sure they have it in other areas. It's called Smash. It even has this pretty thing. It says Superfood Jam on it, right? That's a good marketing. But what is in here? We've got strawberries, dates, chia seeds, lemon. That's what it says on the label. But then when you look at the actual ingredients list, strawberries, dates, chia seeds, lemon juice concentrate, fruit pectin, and rowan berry extract.
We don't know what that is.
I don't know what a rowan berry is yet, but we were going to Google it. But I thought this, again, looking at the serving size, this is really small. It is 1 tablespoon, but there is only 4 grams of total sugar. So what does it say? It doesn't give me added sugar 0%.
Nice. Yeah,
so
you don't find that a lot.
Right? So this is a good option as a grab and go. You can always make your own. We've got a very lovely jam that we've posted before that we make with some frozen berries. Right. So that's my peanut butter and jelly swap.
Nothing, because there's nothing wrong with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the right bread, peanut butter, and jam. Flour. So a lot of us may use typical white flour, and can be bromated and bleached and highly refined. A lot of times that is sprayed at the end of the season with glyphosate, and we kind of know there's a lot of issues now with gluten intolerance and celiac, and it may not necessarily be from the wheat. It could be from the pesticides and the fertilizers used, but it also could be because the wheat we use here is highly hybridized, if we want to say, higher yields, more pest resistant. So there is a brand called Jovial, and they also make great brown rice pasta alternatives for people who are gluten sensitive, like that. But they also have a traditional white flour, and this is an ancient grain kind of white flour. It has not been hybridized. So this is also, Jovial is a brand that's made in Italy. This is also organic, so they're not going to use any kind of pesticides that are banned. And again, it's never been hybridized, low gluten index, unbleached, and unbromated, all-purpose white flour. You can also find this at Woodman's.
Nice. All right, I'm going to go into yogurt options because there are a lot of ogurts with a lot of high sugar content, a lot of added sugar. So one I've talked about before is the bad boy that you get again from Costco, from Kirkland's. If you don't go to Costco, finding another maybe Greek yogurt brand that is an organic, just plain, because you can doctor this up with your berries of favorite berries. And I was just talking with the ladies this morning at class, and one of the ladies mentioned that there's nothing like getting a thing of fresh raspberries, and you get them, you put them in your yogurt, and you open them, and in the middle they're all like moldy and gross. So the idea is to get frozen. Frozen is a really great option. You can, get them organic. You can get them mixed berry, whatever your favorite is. I am a fan of the raspberry, so I like raspberry. So I get those bad boys. And if you just throw them in the microwave for 22 seconds, I know some people don't like microwave, but sometimes it's just fast and easy. Mm-hmm. So in the microwave for 22 seconds, then they get a little like juicy, and you can mix them with your yogurt, and it's just like you had, right? So instead of eating it frozen and cold on your teeth, sometimes just nuking them for a little bit is good. Throwing that with some, peanut butter or almond butter, and throwing some nuts on it, or some granola. Purely Elizabeth. I don't know if you brought it. I don't have any, but that's a really good brand as well. Otherwise, we have kids yogurt sticks. This is a good swap. Go-Gurt has them. There's all these sorts of crazy ones, but if you look, they're very high in added sugar. This one has protein here in it. We've got per tube 2 grams of protein per tube, 4 grams of added sugar. So 4 grams is a lot better than some of them that have 12 grams in one little tube. So this would be a better swap for your yogurts.
Cereal is notoriously unhealthy, right? Yes. We can go into the grocery line or the aisle, and there are probably 3 out of the
bajillion
that aren't healthy. This is a pretty good brand, Nature's Path Organic, and they also have gluten-free brands. But this is and I don't know if it would be, I think it's really kid friendly. They might not like the turmeric, but it's a golden turmeric, and it's a delicious blend of coconut, turmeric, cinnamon, and honey. And the turmeric is really subtle, so it's a really good cereal. We like to follow the 3-6-3 rule, so at least 3 grams of protein, 3 grams of less than 6 grams of sugar, added sugar, and 3 grams of protein. This meets the sugar category. Is 6 grams of sugar. So 2 and 2 for the fiber. So it doesn't quite meet that, but it's better than a lot of the other ones. And you're also getting like this really great spices, the turmeric, the cinnamon, and simple ingredients.
Yeah, that's a great brand. We use there's the gluten-free vanilla one, and it's in a purple box, just like that from Nature's Path. That's one that's also very commonly in our pantry as well. Speaking of the peanut butter and jelly and the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and the bread that you use, whole grains are always the best. I don't have a bread with me because I didn't have any bread, but moving from whites to browns is a great option. So that's the same thing with rice. So moving from white rice to brown rice is a good swap option. Sometimes folks like to do the half and half to start, you know, and moving from there, but moving from your whites to browns. So that's one of the easier swaps, and starting with half and half, I think, is a good way to do it too.
Yep. Snack time. So in the summer, we have a lot of dips and chips and dip. These are corn tortilla chips, and you may say, well, if it just has the corn and the oil, you know, what's the big deal? Well, this is Siete brand, and they use organic corn, because corn can also be sprayed with a lot of stuff. But what they do use is the oil that they use is not a refined, highly inflammatory oil. They use the coconut oil. I mean, oh my gosh, avocado oil. So avocado oil and organic corn with a little bit of lime oil and sea salt. So great brand. Also, there is another brand that uses coconut oil with sweet potato chips. I think they have them at Costco as well. But something to think about.
Yep, that is the Life Should Taste Good brand. They have they now make their chips from Costco in avocado oil. The like octagonal, seedy
they're a
chips.
multi-grain seed chip. And they make it. But I looked at the store. They don't have them like their small packages in the store. They're not avocado oil. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I have another treat, or I have a treat here. We talked about these. It's this little guy. But if you are a fan of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, if you would look at those versus these, I don't have a peanut butter cup, so I'm not sure. But this only has 2 grams of sugar, and it's made with dark chocolate. So if you have that little sweet that you need to get, this is a really great brand. You can get these pretty much anywhere. But again, the best deal, the biggest bag for the price is at Costco. They do have these at Costco.
Yeah. Next one is not necessarily maybe food, but we use it in gluten-free baking. We use Psyllium Husk for baking and gluten-free, but this is also a great fiber. So instead of using like, what's the Metamucil, add a little bit of the psyllium, you know, to your smoothies. Even, you know, you can, it gels up, like when you add water is added to it, it becomes almost like a kind of a jello-y type thing. But let me see, it says 1 to 2 servings. Yeah, put it in a smoothie, your water or juice, drink immediately, because it likes to thicken. But super something easy to add in kind of daily, especially if you have issues with
Gut health
being regular.
Yes. Let's see, what else do I have here? I have another snacky. We went through this one. This is the Olyra brand. They have different ones of these. I know they do certainly have them at Woodman's, but this little thing of crackers, because Belvita is very common. 3 little crackers, 3 biscuits. We have 5 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber, and 6 grams of added sugar. So not too bad for 180 calories for a snack on the go. 5 grams of protein for that. And I know Belvita does not have that or the fiber. So that's a good little option that I recently found. What do you got there?
We have some tea. So it recently kind of came to our attention that we're learning more about the little microplastics that are in clothing and foods and tea bags. So I didn't know. I drink a lot of tea, and so it came out that certain tea bags, probably most of them, release these little microplastics, especially when they are put in hot water. So I bought a few brands that don't have that. They use other things, and one of them is the Stash brand. The other is this Frasier. And then good old Rishi, which is a Wisconsin brand. They do not use the microplastics in there. So these are some great brands.
And you can get the Rishi down at the River Coffee and Cream, too. They have it there. Yeah. My last one, you probably wore. My last one is a snack bar. So there's a ton of protein bars out there. If you go to the store and you go into the protein bar aisle, that's another like kind of overwhelming aisle, like the cereal aisle. But this is a good go-to. The ingredients on your RX bar: egg whites, almonds, cashews, dates. That's what I have, and there's 12 grams of protein in this little bar. This is a little good grab and go. I always have one of these with me because I spend a lot of time at the ballpark and we won't go into concessions. That's a whole nother beast that we've talked about before. But this also has 0 added sugars because it's made with dates. But yeah, 5 grams of fiber,
Nice.
12 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar. Boom.
Bam. I think it would be a fun job to do like concession makeovers. You know, how
Oh
sometimes
my
they
gosh.
have home makeovers or like the bar makeover. We could do a concession makeover.
Right?
All right. My last one is soda. You know, I can't tell you, whenever I go into the grocery store, and no judgment, but an observation is the amount of soda that people have in their carts, especially like if you're at Woodman's, and because they always have sales on this stuff, but some people buy it in like
Carts full.
like literally carts full. So a simple swap, it would be this Poppi brand, and they also have Olipop. But instead of having 30, 40, 50, 60, I've seen it 70 grams of sugar, they have 5 grams of sugar, 3 grams of added sugar. So this is like kind of the Coke or Diet Coke, classic cola it's called, alternative. The only thing that I would say is they have natural, maybe some natural flavors in here. Yeah, and so we don't really know what those are, but a better alternative 100% than the real Coca-Cola. And some people I've heard, I don't know if I like that taste. And but that's what people said about Diet Coke, and now look at everybody's drinking the Diet Coke or something. So anyway, just a good alternative. They have tons of other flavors now. So 3 grams. Much better than 38.
Awesome.
40.